Thank you all for coming. I know we've got a lot of people online as well. Are you Emily, by the way?
I am.
We've never met. We've talked, but we haven't met yet.
We
Hi.
have talked.
Yeah, we'll chat after this. Thank you all for coming. It's crazy to see how many more people are attending, and it seems like a lot more online just due to traffic around the time that we're meeting. But yeah, thank you for everyone who's in person. Today we're talking about a very interesting topic as it relates to middle housing, and I think that I see some architects here more particularly because it's about the type of product that's getting brought to the market with the density that is now allowed in the state. And I will say that this comes with a little bit of experience, art, science, micro, macro, economics, location specific, and I just see a lot of property owners reaching out to us asking to put every single unit they can on their lot, and I keep telling them it's a bad idea. And there's a lot of reasons why. So that's what this is more tailored to, is people who have a lot or a property they're planning to buy, and they want to try and squeeze every last little dollar out of it, which I understand, but I always go back to what the goal is of the property owner. Is your goal to rent it, or is your goal to sell the units? Or is it generational living or something like that, right? I think that you want to make sure if it's an investment, which I'm sure it is, that if your plan is to sell those units, they're going to be desired by the market, otherwise you're dropping price and you're losing money. And nobody wants that. So, my experience, passed on to you, hopefully that will help. That's the goal. Thanks to Master Builders, they always provide this space for us. So if you're not a member and you, like, there's a lot of good information they provide to us. We just had a quarterly meeting with the city of Kirkland. They give us a lot of updates on what's happening, codes that are changing, get us in front of people usually you don't get in front of, so we can kind of be ahead of the curve. So thanks to Master Builders for all they do. This is a 12-month series. The last few months, some of you may have attended, maybe you didn't, but you know, we went to introduction. Middle housing just passed in Washington State in July. It was already allowed in Seattle and Kirkland, and then now it's statewide. So big change for a lot of people. A lot of people have property, they don't understand what they can do with it. Every city's different, it's complicated. So we're just trying to, you know, provide a little bit of clarity. Opportunities, financing, navigating zoning and permitting, and then this one I would say is a little bit more ooey-gooey, not necessarily like data, code, stuff like that. It's more like what is the market saying they want, and that's what this is about, designing the density without losing character. And I think that if you look at what the intended purpose of the code is, as that you come talk with all different types of people in the industry and the state and the jurisdictions that you're working within, they want everything to fit within the neighborhood properly and not just stand out like a sore thumb. And so that's really important to the community, but I think also is important to the person who's building it to make sure it's well received. Because if you've built projects, you know that you put your blood, sweat, and tears in these things, and you hope that the market likes it. So let's make sure they do. So there is a recap here over the course of a few slides. For those of you who are already familiar, what is middle housing? It's ADUs, DADUs, triplexes, duplexes. There's a few different house bills that have passed that allow for different types of density. Every city has a different type of you know, density requirement or allotment based on your location to transit and also your population of the city. These are a bunch of different options that you can put in there for House Bill 1110. 1337 is attached, detached, two detached, two attached, inside, outside, you know, ADUs. If you don't know what an ADU is, it's accessory dwelling units. This one I keep rolling with every time. Like, zoning is what we focused on for all of the codes that have passed, but actually this is an interesting stat. I just talked to the city of Kirkland about this, but we looked at like 564 deals last year, which is a lot of deals, but only, I think, 3% moved forward. So like if you look at the conversion of the number of deals that you look at, there's a lot of different reasons why a deal doesn't move forward. And a lot of things like this will just kill that deal. Everyone's got a different appetite for risk. Some people are just property owners that already own the lot. Some people are developers buying it. You know, everyone's got a different strategy. But yeah, there's just a lot more to it than zoning. So I hear a lot of property owners that go to the city, ask what they can do, and then they say, oh, you can put 6 units on this lot, and it's like a 6,000 square foot lot, and you're like, oh. So anyways, there's a lot of reasons why maybe you shouldn't put those on there. Okay, so the objective today is to focus on balancing increased density with livability. There are some cool slides here that Katie puts together. Katie puts together all of our marketing, so if you like it, give her a shout because she does a really good job. And we put a lot of hard work into these presentations to hopefully provide you guys enough value to make smart decisions in whatever you're doing. So the first step, if you're looking at lots, is really just identifying the process of what you could put there. How many units, what's the height, what's the setback, what's the lot coverage, you know, what's in the neighborhood. You know, you probably don't want to put like a stacked flat right here with, you know, your neighbors around. One, they're really expensive, but also your neighbors are not going to like it. So again, always going back to your goals. Is your goal to rent it? Is your goal to sell it? Or do you want to do a combo of the both? If you look at like all the different options that are now being provided to property owners, if you have, let's just say for example, if you have an opportunity to be able to build 6 units on your lot and you want to maximize your return, that could mean different things for different people. That could mean selling all of those and taking a cash payday and then doing something with that capital. It could mean that you're a property owner and you own the lot free and clear and you want to create housing rentals because you want to move out of the state and you want to create some sort of passive income. New construction is a great way to do that because you don't have all this deferred maintenance. That could mean maybe you want to do a combo of the two. And so if you've got 6 units and you are going to build all 6, you may want to sell 3 of them and then keep the other 3 as rentals to lower your basis on the 3 that you're keeping, which then provides a higher cash flow. And then after those are stabilized in rent, maybe you 1031 those up into something bigger because you have a low basis on those ones that you sold and the ones that you kept. So if you're looking at that as an option, if you're planning to do a combo of the 2, you probably want to, you know, make the whole project desirable for if you're going to sell them, because eventually you're going to sell them. And if you just stack 6 units on a 6,000 square foot lot and it's not desirable, all it is rentals, you're going to spend a lot more to have the value be a lot less, and your spread's not as good. So anyways, always going back to the goal. So yeah, that's the first thing that we always ask. When we're assessing property, people reach out to us. If you guys don't know, we've been providing pre-feasibility studies for property owners. I got a piece of property, I don't know what I can do with it. I talked to the city, this is what they said, but I don't know how much it's gonna cost, I don't know how long it's gonna take, I don't know what the risk is. So that's really what the goal is for us to provide value to you, for you to be able to understand, to get through some of that red tape questions early on.
Does the Liberty Way come with a Liberty guarantee?
And an emu? Is it like a limu emu? Yeah. Maybe we should get a mascot.
I like the Liberty Way.
Yeah.
It's got a nice ring.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, one project is not, it's not a one size fits all. So again, if you have multiple goals, and let's just say, for example, you're in the city of Seattle and you've got an 8,500 square foot lot, putting 6 units on that deal, it's probably going to make sense. It's probably going to be fine. You're 3 stories, you're not 2 stories. You're going to be detached, but only about maybe 5 feet. People there, it's a more urban, dense, you know, walkable kind of neighborhood. That would be considered a really big lot in the city of Seattle compared to like Kirkland, if you're trying to cram 6 units in there, and that's in South Rose Hill, and people are going to look at you like you're crazy. So, it's very different. Different product or different locations. I would say that's really important. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So for some property owners, let's just say this is their lot, and the city says you can put 6 units on your lot. This is what they see. Woohoo! Should probably put some dollar signs in here. But they don't factor in like lot coverage. They don't factor in where you're going to park or how you're going to back out of your garage, or if there is a garage. Because we want to eliminate all the parking requirements now, but that's not necessarily what the market wants. So this is what they see. This is what we see. You got lots of trees, you got a utility easement, you got right-of-way improvements, you got to protect this one, you want to put, you know, how's this going to work? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, do you guys ever know what air spading is? Air spading. That's like excavating around tree roots with a pressure washer. Try and do that. That's not fun, but that's what you have to do, like right in here. Let's see here. So yeah, so art and science, this kind of goes back to like, where are you located? How dense is the location that you're at? Is it walkable? How many units can be fit on there? It's a balance of, you know, the data, what the code says, what you can technically do, and then taking the data out of it and looking at what does the market really want? What is somebody gonna feel when they walk into this project? How are they gonna live in the space? Are they gonna feel like they're looking into their neighbor's windows, and you've got a bathroom right there and it's not shaded or whatever? That's okay in Seattle, that's not here. So, taking that into mind, there's a lot of like art and science to it. So one thing that we do when we're putting projects on the market is we provide a whole feedback report for ourselves and for our clients. Talk with every single broker that's walked through every unit, take that data and put it into our sheet, and then we provide that information to the builder. And so if we hear from the market that this is undesirable, we want to pivot really quickly to the product that we're looking at right away, so we can make sure we don't build it again. And that may change based off the location, right? If you're in downtown Kirkland, townhomes are going to be okay. If you're in South Rose Hill, not so much. If you're in Capitol Hill versus like North Seattle, very different, right? So that would be, I would say, the arts and then the science. You have to factor into both. So it's good to have a pulse on the market. Location, why it matters, kind of went over that. Typology, so this is my own personal opinion, and you guys can take it for what it's worth, but most of the people that we're working with are smaller builders, and townhomes are really tough when you're working in the suburbs and you've got T.R. Horton, Toll Brothers, Taylor Morrison Homes, and you look at all the levers that they have to pull for the product type that they're selling. They got in-house brokers, they got in-house financing, they got in-house escrow, and they will drop their price overnight by like 50 to 100 grand. And if you're a small builder and you see your infill lot is 6 units, and you see your nationals are dropping price, and you're basically just competing with them for the same type of product, maybe yours looks a little bit nicer, but they can just drop the price pretty quick, you're just gonna chase it down with them. And you don't have the public backing that a lot of these others do. So if you're gonna do townhomes, you need to be in like an urban walkable core, because the nationals aren't gonna be in that area, right? They don't have the volume to be able to take on that project. So that goes back to the typology, the market, what's around you. Super important to do your market study of what product is getting brought to the market, so you're not competing with people that are just gonna wash you out. This is a project that we sold through in Forbes Creek. And I think this shows really well what the whole intent of middle housing is to be. Let's see if she put it in here. Sorry, I'm gonna skip forward real quick. Here we go. So that project, so this is a Murray Franklin home. They do a very good job. Good product, good location. But their lot size, or their house size was about 4,200 square feet. Our home was about 3,700 square feet. Both of them had the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms. This one sold for, what did this one sell for, Katie? It was like three, I thought it was three, no, the Murray one, I think it was 3.2. And we sold this house for 2.4. So you're in the same location. Sure, this one's more dense, but you're getting a house that's within 500 square feet, the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms, but almost for $1 million less. I think that, although that may not be affordable, it's definitely a different option, and you get in the same neighborhood, and you get a new construction house, and that, I think, just goes to show that you're getting more product type in the same locations with great schools and great neighborhoods, which provides more options to buyers. Okay, so on the flip side, as a single family, sold quick, I would say is, in location wise, comparable to like a Murray is, but obviously attached versus detached. But if you're like, hey, I want a 5-bedroom house, I want to get this location, you basically get $900,000 off. So that's, a value play in my opinion. However, for those of you who are planning on building ADUs and DADUs in the Kirkland market, don't do it. Airing some dirty laundry right now, but I'm going to tell you that it's a little saturated, and the feedback that we get from every single buyer is they want at least 3 bedrooms, they want to be detached, they want a garage, and they want a yard. And while this is a great product, for like a rental, it's still sold, it's fine, everything's good, but like it just takes a little bit longer to sell it. And why put something out there that people aren't gonna really want? Unless you are planning to build this to put your mother-in-law or somebody else, but that's a more rare opportunity. It's not like, you know, in some cases we've had some people that have said, hey, I wanna buy the house, I'm a young tech couple, I'm having kids, and I wanna have my mother-in-law live next door. But I would say the number of conversations that happens and that actually pulls through is very slim. And so if you're building to sell, the likelihood of those selling together is pretty slim. So if you're building a custom, it's a different story. This is just a sample of a feedback report that we get every open house that we set up. We take this information and we also kind of look at our pipeline and what's available, and also use this to provide feedback to our builders of what people like and what they don't like. And as we're working through multiple projects, we can tweak our plans. But again, everyone wants their cake and they want to eat it too, so you got to take a little bit to heart. So this is the single family ADU Daddy project we were just talking about. The Murray Franklin home is like right here. This is a cottage project that we sold through last year. This is what it looked like. Both of those sold really well. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, detached, nice yard, street facing, 1-car garage, extra parking. They sold for list price and a little bit above within a couple of days. That just tells you the market wants more of that. However, it's tough to make those projects make sense unless you hit a certain unit yield based on what the lot pricing is worth. Kind of restating what I've said before about ADUs and DADUs. This is, I don't know how much you guys track this. I'm a data guy. I like to look at all the data. And this is the market as a whole. These are not just all mine, so just bear that. But if you guys don't know what you're looking at, and I'm sorry if anyone on here, these are your listings, but some of these are mine too, so just keep that in mind. But you got the listing number, you got actives, pendings, and solds, right? This is the address, you got the original price, sold price, current price, and the difference. So you can just see, these are all ADUs and DADUs, by the way, right? Just ADUs and DADUs.
Those 2 beds?
All 2 beds, all 2.25 baths, all the same square foot. This just tells us what the original price was, what they sold for, and the difference in price. Like some of these are pretty big, right? North, South Rose Hill, this is Forbes Creek, some of these are west of Market. I mean, basically this is just telling me that I need to drop my price on my land purchase or don't build that again. So I've tried to provide this feedback to people that want to build something, and also I've tried to provide this feedback to the city of Kirkland. The city of Kirkland says, well, that's the intent, is to make it more affordable. And I said, yeah, but if it's so more affordable that you don't make any money, you're not going to build it anymore. So just take that for what it's worth, because while you might see all these permits coming through, I had this conversation with them like, this was probably about a year ago now. They're like, oh, we got so many permits, we're doing great, I think we're going to be fine. And I was like, just wait, give it a year. And then you're going to start asking like, oh, where's all the permits? Oh, we're overstaffed. Or, oh, wait, what happened to all these other projects we were looking at? It's like, because this is what's happening. Like they're so far ahead and we're seeing the cycle change in the middle of it. But again, all goes back to your goals. If you're planning to build this to put your mother-in-law in, you want to keep it as a rental, very different. But if you're planning to sell it, the market is telling you where the value's at.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
What do you think your average, what you're seeing there, the average square footage on those two twos?
2 2s?
What's the price per square foot, really?
I mean,
I think we're in the 8s.
I'd have to do the math. Yeah, it's like in the mid-8s right now. Yeah.
Is it 1,200? Is that the limit for DADUs and
Yeah.
ADUs?
Yeah. This is all Kirkland, by the way. Yeah, these are all Kirkland ADUs and DADUs. The size is 1,200 square feet. Yep.
Do you have a list similar to this for like 3 beds and a half bath?
There are no ADUs and DADUs with 3 beds.
Like any 3 beds and a 1,200 square foot space.
Yeah. Those are called 1960 Ramblers.
Seattle allowed it, so Seattle pumps them out.
I mean, Seattle, I'm
Yeah,
using like.
that's true. They do.
Yeah, that's what I
They do pump them out. Have you ever walked through one of those though?
Yeah.
You could like sit down on your couch and eat at the kitchen table. I mean, that's just not what the East Side wants. That's why I said location, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and also you're probably selling those for like $850. little different.
Brian, can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
So, I mean, now that you've got data from Kirkland and as we go into Bellevue and we're looking at creative stuff, like, are you just applying basic stuff like we talked about, 3 bedrooms,
Yep.
you know, two baths, parking spots,
Yep.
like, if that's what you're looking for,
Yeah,
framework?
I'll say that my strike product type on what we're building or advising other people to build, because, I mean, like, I got maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 of these listings. These are all everyone else's too, right?
Right.
But like, doesn't matter. It's all
Yeah.
the same. So the thing that's different is like, again, you go back to like what each city is allowing for. Everyone wants to be different. That's fine. But like Kirkland, you're 1,200 square foot, no garage. In addition to Bellevue, you can be 1,200 square feet, plus you get a 250 square foot garage. You can get a 3 bedroom and a dadu if you allow for a garage, but it's gotta be like a really square, boxy, tight circulation all the way up the stairs, like rooms breaking off, but they're still kinda small. I'm personally not doing any of those. People just feel like the bedrooms are too small, so maybe I've gotten a little bit sour. I mean, if John Kapler was here, he's like probably like me when I get old. I'm gonna be him when I get older, cause he's just like, we'll just tell you how it is.
But one thing that other builders have told me too is like what they could get 1, 2 for maybe 2 years ago.
Sure.
They're under $1 million now.
100%.
And part of that is the early, first few out, you can get that price. Now that we're getting more volume.
Yep.
More supply.
Totally.
It's doing the right thing, which is driving the price down. It's just doing
100%.
it sometimes in a crappy way.
100%, but also the other thing is that like if you see, like James talks with all these different property owners all the time, and this type of product was only available in Kirkland before, now it's available in Redmond, it's available in Bellevue, it's available in Bothell, it's in Kenmore, it's in like all these locations. So supply and demand, right? Look at what Texas and Florida have going on. You provide a lot of supply, and while we can't pump out the permits as quick as they can, I mean, you're bringing more supply to the market. And so if you've got a dadu that's the same thing in Kirkland that you're selling in Kenmore, and it's $850 over there, and it's $1 million over here, like, it's not too far.
Can you do condoization in Bellevue and Redmond as well now?
Yeah.
Statewide.
Sell separate?
Statewide. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so we're just talking about townhomes here. This is Seattle style townhomes. I mean, these are like 3-4 story units. I know that Seattle is getting real tired of the 4-story products as well. No garages, parking off of an alley. This is Kirkland's 2-story product attached, but that project has had a tough time to sell. I've been watching that one as well. So I took this class at the UW for, it was probably like 10 years ago now. And I will say that Katie did a really good job putting this together. But for me, like in the way that they explained it, and you look at like micro and macroeconomics, and you look at value, the core is where your value holds the highest based off of your proximity to jobs and everything else, and that's the reason why the value is what it is, not to let alone like we got this urban growth boundary where you can't have any urban sprawl, but that keeps, you know, the values higher. But if you look at Seattle and the higher density type of products, and they've changed their code as well, and you can do a lot more townhomes, those are gonna be more well received there, even though people over here don't want it. Different value, different location, more walkable. Depending on where you're at here, you're probably not gonna be in like downtown Bellevue. I mean, like a downtown Bellevue lot to put townhomes in, like there are very, very few. Or that dirt is really, really expensive. That's just most likely not gonna happen. You're gonna be looking at like Lake Hills and Eastgate and all these other places, but then you got CC&Rs, so it's like, okay, I'm just not gonna do townhomes there. This is a different, you know, product type between different locations. Seattle, I would say this is considered like a cottage. The bear looks very boxy, not the most pretty, but it gets the job done. You got parking stalls there. This is a merit project. They usually do a pretty good job. Cottage style, parking in front of the garage. They probably have some extra guest stalls right here. That's a product type that most buyers want. But now that there's more product type getting brought to the market, you got to look at how you're going to differentiate yourself between everyone else that has a cottage. So we're looking at, you know, in Redmond, how can you put a 2-car garage in like a cottage style unit? Or in Redmond, their code's very different than Kirkland's, and maybe we can get a 2,200 square foot unit with a 4-bedroom, like a primary on the main floor with a 3/4 bath, and a 2-car garage. Just what the code allows for more flexibility. You're not too far away. How are you going to stand out? Yeah, this is just talking about being in tight locations. That's a cool project though. Really pretty. but also really expensive. Okay, so yeah, this looks like a wedding cake, but it's intended to. And, you know, kind of going back to this one, and you look at like the ups and downs of the market and the cycles and the core of like where the jobs are located. The intent of this is, you know, kind of going back to what my old professor said at UW, where in rising markets, values go up in the core and then they go out, and they go up and then out. And then in recessionary markets, they go in and down. But your core is always gonna stay true to value because you're closest to the jobs. And so, always really interesting to think about it from that perspective. And I think it goes back to why the buy box for a lot of builders are so tight into the closer core, and everyone's chasing the same thing, which then dries up the land value, because everyone wants to be the closest to the jobs. This is just talking about what different buyers like in different locations, ample parking, privacy. If you think about like, okay, I'm a younger couple, I work for Amazon, I'm in downtown Seattle in a townhome, now I have a kid, I wanna go to the east side, maybe I get a cottage, I wanna have that like suburban white picket fence feel, but maybe I don't have enough money to spend, you know, on a $4 million Roy Franklin. So trying to provide the same amenities that, you know, you would get in that type of product for a lesser price. Just think about that. Yeah, just talking about demand. This is the project that we just listed in Houghton. 3 cottages, private lane, detached, fenced yards. I think you guys worked on this one. Yeah, this is a really nice looking product. This is actually, I think the only Kirkland project that I know of. I don't know if we have any other photos that show it, but there's a detached, like cottages in Kirkland are weird. So you can put a 1-car garage within the home, but then we had enough FAR left over or lot coverage allowed to where you can also get a detached garage. So you get a garage in the unit, and then you get a garage that's detached, and they both go to one unit, but all of them are set up that way. Kind of interesting. Kirkland makes their code a little bit weird. You get 2-car garage. Yeah, this is just the feedback. Beautiful design, low light fixtures, high ceilings, great. Lots of neighbors. I would say the first time we go to open, we hear a lot of neighbors come through all the time. Like, we get more people in the first weekend neighbors than buyers. It's crazy. Taking a site-specific approach. Yeah, same thing. Okay, the other thing too is like that when you're looking at projects, I think that like I've had somebody from Master Builders connecting with somebody in Linwood, and they were asking for like standardized plans for cottages or DADUs or ADUs or whatever. And it would be so nice if we were like Arizona and you could just think about it like production line, but you can't do that. You got trees, you got steep slopes, you got setbacks, you got infrastructure improvements, you got all this stuff. Every infill project ends up being like a little custom project. And so while we hope that eventually someday maybe we can get like some sort of more efficiency, no 2 projects are alike, and we approach everything completely independently and look at it as if we're starting from the ground up, which we are, but in no way do we feel like we can stamp one project from one lot onto another one, just because every site has its own different constraints. I mean, I've talked about trees so much, I don't even know if I want to talk about it. But trees, that's a big one. This is a project that we're working through right now, cottage style project, 4 units. Each unit has 2 parking spots, but if you look at the configuration of the access and the yards and all that stuff, you got a grove of trees here, you got a grove of trees here, you got a grove of trees here. And we provide more preference to trees than housing affordability, and so then that's the way it's set up. But just something that you have to really look at early on. So for all the property owners out there that saw my earlier slide where you just want to scrape it and put like a bunch of units, you can't do that. Okay, so just I guess reinforcing what we're doing as far as pre-feasibility goes. We have a lot of different types of industry professionals that are asking for us to help out with this service because We've got architects that have a client that had them reach out to the city who now can build something, but yet they don't understand all the cost implications that go along with it. That person is more of a novice because now they have this opportunity that they don't really understand how to tap into. And so they need someone who's successfully been through development projects, you know, is bankable and understands how to be able to help shepherd them through that. Because not everyone is a pro, or maybe you work at like Amazon and you just have like a rental that's been around for 20 years and now you can put more units on your lot, but you don't know where to start. Architect is a great way to start, but we kind of help package all that up and help get you shepherded all the way through the process. So for those of you who may have some questions about what's provided in that pre-feasibility, this is just an early stage, you know, initial look at your property. It's the same price as like an appraisal or a home inspection. We look at the parcel data, the quarter section map, the zoning, review the unit access, code research, market studies. We do some financial underwriting, look at utilities. Obviously, you don't want to, you know, we don't want to advise you to move forward and then know you're going to get a storm main extension like right after you start design. We look at environmental impacts, at least whatever we can see on the public GIS maps, steep slopes. If we need to, we'll draw up a quick little site plan to show you what your unit yield is going to get to. Analyze highest and best use based off of all the different options, open space requirements, height maximums, and then we kind of wrap that up into a package and provide it to you for you to then set up a meeting with us to go over all the options. We open the books and look at all of the costs and kind of let you decide how you want to move forward. What's not included, because that seems like, oh, if I'm just thinking about it, not knowing anything, like that seems like everything you would need. Wrong. We didn't look at a title report or talking to a land use attorney. If you're looking at Bellevue and you've got CC&Rs, you're definitely going to want to do that. Look at all of the affordable housing and utility connection fees. Like if you got a city with a different utility company that is servicing that lot, it's not going to be from the city, it's going to be from the utility company, and we have to go through that deep dive. We're not doing any property walks or scheduling or pre-application meetings. So there's like a whole list of everything that's not included that if you're serious about making that next step, you're going to want to consider. And we can obviously help you through that process, but your first step is really figuring out like how many units can I put here, how much is it going to cost, what does the market want, what are my goals, and which is the best option. At that point, then you take the next step. But at least you're not like a lot of people that reach out to us after they've spent $200,000 going through multiple design iterations and submittals to the city, and then find out that it's not feasible. Because that's happened a lot more than you think, actually. Yeah, so after our pre-feasibility, we'll set up a meeting with you, go over all the options, and just kind of help you figure out what's best for you. These are different types of people who are reaching out to us actively. Land use attorneys, a lot of property owners that are having to work through options and looking at CC&Rs, architects. They can help you design something, but they don't necessarily fully understand the full cost or implications of the project and don't want to shepherd you through it. Some do, maybe. Lenders, they want to make sure that they're providing loans to credible buyers, and if you're a novice and they're going to give you a loan, that's a risk on them if you don't know what you're doing. So we may get brought in to help kind of manage that development process for them to de-risk that project. Real estate brokers, obviously they're working with a lot of property owners. Private wealth advisors, you would be surprised how many different property owners have a portfolio of property because they've made a lot of active income and they've bought lots along the way, and now they've gotten to their like mid-50s and they're like, holy crap, now I can put like 4 homes on each lot. How do I do that? And then the private wealth advisors are like kind of frothing at the mouth because we can help them unlock that capital, and then they can just turn around and reinvest it in the market. But they don't know how to do the whole development process. So we have private wealth advisors that are reaching out to us to ask them help with that. And then obviously property owners, they've talked to the city, they've talked to an architect, they don't know where else to go. Yeah, that's it. Any questions? Not one?
So Ryan, we got one on the 2 now on.
Okay.
Master asks, do you think cottage development will be oversaturated because that's what everyone's building now? Single family plus 2 detached type that is just like individual homes maybe they can come back in a few years.
Yeah, cottage projects are gonna get a little bit oversaturated, so when we're looking at a cottage project, we're discounting what those units are gonna sell for based off of a potential future volume that we don't know is coming, but we're just taking what's selling now and just providing a little bit of a discount to make sure we're buffering. So yes, I do think that cottages will get a little bit saturated because it is a more desirable product. And then I don't remember what the other one was. Okay. Yeah. Anyone else?
Why do you think, with all your feedback and everything, why do you think they don't allow cottages with two-car garage? Like, is that a-
Two-car garages?
Yeah.
Per-
That's more desirable.
Yeah, per the, I had this conversation with the city of Kirkland today. They specifically said, verbatim, because we want to make these units more affordable. So if we provide a less desirable product to the market, it will then be more affordable. And in return, I told them, if you provide a less desirable product to the market, those projects aren't going to get built anymore. Or you'll severely discount what the land is valued at for your purchase because you know you're bringing a less desirable product to the market, which means that those units are going to sell for less, which then goes into what you're going to buy the lot for. And if that's too low and the existing house has more value, or let's say I got to offer $300,000 or $400,000 less than what people were willing to buy that lot for before, that deal just doesn't happen. And so the city doesn't see that because what they always ask for is they actually have this on a list. I'm supposed to get to them, but how many projects have you worked through that didn't move forward, and what was the reason? They specifically are asking for that because they don't know what they don't know. All they see are projects that come in. They don't see the ones that don't happen. And so the more that we can provide feedback to the city about the projects that don't happen and the reasons why, maybe they'll think about changing stuff. Maybe.
Like, ideally like a 4-bed, 2,000, 2,100 square foot home with two-car garage, that's all like
Yeah.
people want, but
Yeah.
currently there's no way to like provide that. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, but condo access is fine.
Yeah.
Get in a little bit ballpark.
So,
On your first slide, you had like a townhome style project, like 2 SFRs sandwiched together.
Mhm.
And I'm seeing that in Bellevue just in the last 6 months. But I'm also seeing them.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm also seeing them sitting. So I guess what is your approach when you're speculating on this newer style development in the city for exit pricing? How do you guys approach that?
This is a really nice looking product, but I would say that like most people don't want this right here. This is a Seattle thing. People don't want to be, everyone wants to feel as far away from it as possible. And then this is a very wide product and we don't have a lot of frontage on lots that you're able to do this on.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a pink unicorn. This is just an example.
But there's I mean, I'm looking at one like off 164th. There's been a few pop up in Bellevue.
Yeah.
And I'm like seeing exits of 1.9 per unit, but
Yeah.
they're sitting.
Yeah,
So I'm just
for sure.
wondering, like, when I agree with you. You're looking at the approach, but like, what
Yeah.
is you're like saying, hey, they don't
I-
want this to begin with. I wouldn't do it. Is
I
that
wouldn't do
what-
it. Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't do it. But
Yeah.
or if you were, let's just say like frontage and whatever, it didn't matter. Let's just say you were able to do something like this.
Mhm.
I would like there's a project. You guys know where the Legacy Farms project is from DR working up in Woodinville?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever driven down behind it, kind of like that windy road through all those old
Yeah.
residential homes
Yeah.
that are there? They actually have a bunch of duplexes back there, but you wouldn't be able to tell they're duplexes. They're 2 stories, just like this. But what they did is they attached them only on the first floor, and they're separated by like 10 feet.
Mm.
And then they put like a little fence in the front, and then they put shrubs up here. So like you don't have this full attachment up here. They're not even attached at the garage. They're attached at like this little section right here. Let's just say this is a little bit further out, and you can't even tell that it's attached, but it's technically attached.
Yeah.
And then like what is inside of those garages is like just a storage area for probably your water heater or something like that. It's like a little 10 by 10 attachment.
Interesting.
But then if you're zipping a fence through it, you're putting shrubs up, it just looks like you've got 10, 15 feet between your units, and it just looks like a regular detached home. That is what I think that if you're gonna attach units, you gotta go for, because it feels as detached as possible. It's
Yeah.
just tough to do on these smaller lots.
Yeah.
So one thing I'll add to that though is you can still build townhomes, you just have to discount them properly.
Yes. 100%.
If the only thing you could do, you can't get enough the spacing or whatever, but what you just mentioned there as far as that spacing thing.
Yep.
Just check your jurisdictions. Some jurisdictions have very specific requirements on
Yep.
what is considered a duplex.
Yep.
Some don't.
Yeah, one thing
So
that we've
what
been.
he just described there will work in a lot of them, but not in this, in every one of them.
Yeah, one thing that we've been trying is like, what's the definition of an attachment?
That's, amen. That's the other thing I was gonna say, Ryan.
Yeah.
And I'm giving, the other thing is like 3-story versus 2-story. I built a lot of this stuff in other jurisdictions down in the south before it was allowed here. What I sold 3 years ago as a 3-story, today, if they resold it, they're losing money.
Yeah, 100%.
Different market, better, lack of product, where today, one just resold in one of my projects in Renton, and it actually sold at a loss.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for the guy, but,
Yeah.
but so I don't build 3-story anymore.
Yeah.
Which means I'm limited then.
Yeah.
Where guys in Seattle are still building 3 and 4-story and getting away with it because it's a different market.
Yeah, I would say 4-story is like a 3-story on the east side.
I'm gonna ask a question.
Yeah.
I've got a client moving back into the country from abroad who raised this question to me, and now I'm gonna raise it to you.
Okay.
If you twist the other way, you showed a nice slide up there of some row housing a little while ago.
Mhm.
I'm not sure where it was at in your package or there, but you said it was a nice looking project.
Oh, yeah, the really
They were
fancy
asking me,
craftsman.
I mean, they're obviously from a different country, so they're living in spaces like that now where they really enjoy them. You're packed
Those
that,
ones?
exactly.
Yep.
You're packed that close together.
Yep.
But when you're inside,
Mhm.
you can't see. It's not like we're putting a dado in the backyard and they're staring into the bathroom and so forth.
Mhm.
So they were just out saying, look, we would love a product like that. Yeah, where can we buy something like that? And I said,
Yeah.
well, I'm not gonna go there. But whatever.
Yeah.
But have you heard of anybody? I mean, does anybody else have any input on that?
Well, the one thing I'll say like that there, is that a 5-plex? Check your
Looks like it's
insurance.
4. Yeah, it's probably 5. You got one more
Yeah.
here.
So a lot of builders' insurances, you can't go beyond a 4,
Mhm.
just so you know.
Well,
But the other thing is, I
I
built.
wouldn't care if it's 3. I mean,
Okay, I'm just
just
saying,
gets
that's- but the other thing I found, and I've built duplexes, triplexes, and 4s, anytime you get center units, 3-plex or beyond, you gotta discount that center unit.
You know
Because
what?
they only have windows on the ends.
I agree with you. I did this though in Seattle years ago.
Yeah.
And we had that same mentality. We had the 2 units always on the triples. We lost one of those
Yep.
units. We staggered that middle
And
unit
there's
on
things you
both
can do,
ends
yes.
And gave it bigger yards and bigger decks, and we sold that one first every time.
As
Every
long as
time.
you,
And
long as
for more
you,
money
but you
than
thought
the
about it though, and put stuff in that.
Well,
that
that's
made
how I
it
lost my ass.
On the first one. Yes. Yeah, anytime I've done it, I've always made that center unit bigger. So
You gotta do something.
You gotta do something new and you said that, right. And there's some things you can do with modulation.
But you can overcome that.
Right.
You
just
can
have to
see
think about
models
it.
like this.
Is it the Bellevue
that
well?
were built 20 years ago.
No.
in Scotland.
No.
Yes, that's really
Probably
interesting.
people-
Exactly.
There's models like this, but
Yeah.
they're well thought and thoughtfully designed in what they're used, so they don't seem like they're duplexes, but it can be done. It's just, it's can be a little more expensive.
We funded a duplex, like what you said, where they only had the small attachment on the lower level.
Yeah.
They sold really well, like this guy does it in Everett.
Yep.
It's barely attached.
Yep.
And
Yeah, you
They
see.
don't do the second level attachment.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those, and those feel like I've seen them sell pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but something like this, Dan, I think you're going to see more. This is like reminds me of like San Francisco, really walkable, but not something that you're going to see in South Rose Hill. You're just not going to get the value for it. What I see is like this is a beautiful project, but it's really expensive to build. I mean, like look at all of these different craftsman style kind of details and everything like that. You bring this to a builder and ask them to build it, you go, okay, well, how much is your
You're
budget?
gonna get it all back, Ryan.
Prove it. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
Ryan, are you hearing any interesting conversations from the city around, like any city that you're speaking to around stack flats? I mean, to me, it seems like affordability is their end goal. It seems
Yeah.
like stack flats would be that, because I mean, in my opinion, they're the least desirable product type out there, but they're extremely expensive to build, from my understanding, and your fees are going to be the same. Are they like talk about providing incentives for, or just anything around it that's going to help? Because I mean, I never hear anybody talk about stack flats as a project or building it, or even any desirable to pursue that avenue of all this conduitation that's going on.
Yeah. I don't know how many different city officials run here online, because I know there are some on there. And I say this with all the love in the world. But I don't think that a lot of the city planners understand the economics of the cost that go into building a stack flat project. And I think that they've worked more in like ethereal type of mindset, where I do see, like, actually, if you look at the Cordillera Group, or Cordillera Homes, I think they just changed their name to, which is in downtown Kirkland. They have a, I think it was U.S. Bank. I just saw in the Puget Sound Business Journal. They've torn down the U.S. Bank. They're doing some residential below. I guess that would be kind of stack flats, but not. And they've got 4 units above, and they're all like 1-story condos. And they sold another project that was across the way from that in Easton Market, like really walkable downtown, like Kirkland, very specific. I would say those are the only areas that I've seen like that type of product work, but they're getting a real good premium for those units.
Right, because of the location.
Because of the location, right? And they've got elevators that are going in there. They're,
It's not I can speak to that a little bit. I know
Sure.
it very, very well.
Yeah.
It's for the demographic.
Yeah.
The elderly. They
Yep.
want to have those stack flats so that they have singular living
Yep.
levels. So find me a waterfront piece of property, I'll do stack flats on it, and
Yeah.
sell them to elderly people that have shit done.
100%. Yeah. That goes back to like your location, your product type, your market, your demographic that you're going towards.
Yeah.
Try and build a stack flat in South Rose Hill, and you're going to lose your ass.
It seems like from an affordability perspective, a stack flat would go great in like a south front, right?
Sure.
I mean, you would think, but it just seems like,
Yeah.
especially from an affordability perspective, it's, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was curious because it seems like with all these questions around the city wanting to push affordability, like the stack flat is on product, I just never hear anybody talk about building one or pursuing one or anything like that.
Yeah, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of fire rated codes that go along with having a horizontal versus a vertical also.
Right.
It's just a lot that goes along with it, insurance wise and everything. So, all right, all good?
Really.
Okay. Thank you all for coming.